Alright.
Udah bisa Putri buka nih ya.
Oke.
Oke. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Perkenalkan, saya Putri Handika selaku moderator untuk webinar pada pagi hari ini. Nah, ini adalah webinar series kedua dengan tema Writing an Effective Resume, CV and Personal Statement for US University Application. Nah, telah hadir bersama kita 3 speaker ya sebenarnya. Nah, yang sudah hadir Mr. Zulfikar dan Miss Lilis ya. Nah, sebelum kita mulai acara pada pagi hari ini, saya perkenalkan dulu siapa-siapa saja speakernya. Yang pertama adalah Dr. Zulfikar M.Ed, beliau adalah Ketua Jurusan Pendidikan Bahasa Inggris UIN Ar-Raniry, Banda Aceh. Nah, beliau juga salah satu alumni dari Ohio University dan awardee dari Fulbright Scholarship. Sebenarnya yang kedua ada Mr. Faishal Zakaria MA, cuman mungkin beliau belum ada di sini ya, mungkin bentar lagi akan hadir. Mr. Faishal Zakaria MA adalah dosen di Pendidikan Bahasa Inggris UIN Ar-Raniry, Banda Aceh. Saat ini beliau sedang melanjutkan studi Ph.D.-nya di Indiana University Bloomington, which is funded by LPDP scholarship. Selanjutnya, Mr. Faishal juga alumni dari Indiana University of Pennsylvania dan awardee dari Fulbright scholarship. Nah, speaker yang terakhir yaitu Lilis, beliau adalah advisor dari EducationUSA Aceh. Jika ada pertanyaan, silakan ditulis pada kolom Q&A. Dan pertanyaannya mungkin bisa diketik sesudah presentasi dari ketiga speaker. Gimana? Kita mulai aja nih, speaker yang pertama. Ya, jadi tidak ada tanpa membuang waktu, kita mulai dengan speaker pertama, yaitu Mr. Zulfikar, yang akan memberikan presentasi berjudul Sharing Experience Applying to US University. Waktu dan tempat dipersilahkan untuk Mr. Zulfikar.
Oke. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Putri Handika. Maybe I would like to combine English and Indonesia. Ya, jadi let me share my screen. Host, please. Okay. Miss Lilis, coba enable sharing. Enable screen sharing. Okay. All right. Yes. Okay. All right. Okay. Let me start. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillah. Today, I am Dr. Zulfikar. Now I'm the head of English language education at UIN Ar-Raniry. And thank you to Ibu Lilis and then also Putri Handika, and also on behalf of the department, I would like to thanks Pak Faishal, who is available for us today. And I'm only given time for 20 minutes by the moderators, and I would like to just touch a bit on some basics. My personal experience bit on how I apply for scholarship and how I end up going to the USA. So that's very, very important for me to elaborate, because later on, Pak Faishal and also Ibu Lilis would like to explain more on how to write a personal statement and also what we call it, the CV. So this personal statement and CV, why are they important? So I would like to talk a bit, why do you think PS or personal statement or curriculum vitae, CV are very important for us to use in our application uh, for the LOA, letter of admission from the university, and also for scholarships. Okay, this is me, and this whole ideas are talking about what is a personal statement. I want to go into detail on that. Why it's important? This is my part. How to write a personal statement? That's the part of the other two speakers. So I would like to just touch upon some, basically on why it is very important. Why personal statement and CV are very important. Okay, a bit about myself. Yeah. So yeah, as I told you earlier, saya mengajar di UIN Ar-Raniry, Prodi Pendidikan Bahasa Inggris, and let me give you a brief story or brief history on my academic journey apart from my degree program. So I've been to Western Sydney Uni for my postdoctoral programs, and also to Griffith University, and also for Australian National University for my uh, postdoctoral program and short course award. And what about I went to Monash University for my first master's from 2002 up to 2003, and also to Ohio University with a Fulbright scholarship from 2004 to 2006. And then I also come back to Monash again for my PhD program in 2007 and 2011. So why do you think I need to talk about my academic journey a bit? Because if you can see, I got 4 or 5 universities here: Monash, Ohio, Griffith, Western Uni, and Australian National University. How do I get there? Only 2 things. I mean, like the other, apart from other issues, the personal statement and the CV. So I wrote my personal statements. I developed my CV, and so Alhamdulillah with the help of Allah, tentu doa itu di awal atas segala-galanya. I end up myself in those 5 universities. So the first step, I mean, to be able to get into those universities or to the other universities that of your interest are personal statements and CV, in addition to language proficiency and some other stuff needed for application. So why about me? Why me? I mean, it was very personal. First, because I was asked by Lilis to talk about myself. So if any complaint about this, please give your complaint to Ibu Lilis, okay? Personal statement and CV take me to this program. AUSA in 2001, I got AUSA scholarship. I got Fulbright scholarship in 2004, and I got Minister of Communication and Information Technology of Republic of Indonesia in 2007. And also I got my postdoctoral fellowships, and I also got my Australian Award Indonesia Short-Term Award. All of those achievements start with personal statement and CV. So no, I'm the living proof, maybe apa namanya, bukti nyata atau bukti hidup bahwa personal statement and CV is not a joke. It's a serious thing. So that's why there are many people have been discussing and doing workshop on how to write good personal statement and CV, because failing to do so can lead you to the failure to achieve your dream to get a scholarship and study overseas. And also, why a personal statement needed? So being a university student, whether it is in Australia or in the US or in some other university or some other countries, you need to have self-confident student. You have to have self-esteem. You have to have a self-efficacy, high self-efficacy. And you have to got strong stamina, attitude, resilience, endeavor, adventures, endurance, and survival. And also, I give this in many other speeches about the cartoon of Tyson and Ali. So if you can compare between why Tyson and why Ali, what are the 2 differences between Tyson and Ali? Tyson is a very strong man. He's a strong person. but not very resilient, not very endurance. But Ali, as strong as Tyson, but is very resilient and endurance. People punch him so many times, but then he end up punching people and that people knock down or knock out. So you see, we need both. We need Tyson and we need Ali. We need strong to get the scholarship. We need also endurance. We need also resilience. We are okay with several knockdowns, several rejections, several strikes, but we can come back and get up and then fight again. So it's not how many times you fall. That what Ali say, and how many times you fall, but how many times you get up and fight back. That Rocky Balboa in his movie says so, right? It's not, doesn't matter how many times you knock down, but it's no matter how you get up and fight again. And also this one, self-directed learner, and also a proactive student, and also punctual or punctuality. So those attitudes are very important to win the scholarship and also to get the letter of admission from universities. So the question is, how do universities or admission committee know about you, know that you have those very great attitudes, you have high self-esteem, good confidence, have self-efficacy, you are strong and resilient, you are punctual, you are proactive, you are self-directed learner? How do those people know? They don't know you. They are not your family. They are not your parents. How do they know you? Two things: personal statement and curriculum vitae. So some people, they have this item, these attitudes, but they don't know how to write and how to put it down in their curriculum vitae and in their personal statement, and that they end up failing in showing himself to the audience. So this is why I would like to say that personal statement and curriculum vitae are very important. So how to write that? I don't want to go beyond my material that I was given to talk about. So book Lilis and also Pak Faishal would like to give you into details, to drive you into detail on how to write personal statement and also CV. And yeah, this one, as I mentioned, self-esteem is important. It's a realistic aspect of your ability to achieve and thrive in life, while self-efficacy is how you feel about your ability. It is an optimistic strength, the way you value yourself, self-efficacy. You put yourself up rather than down, and also self-confidence. These all three things that needed, and people know this, that you have these characters through personal statement and through CVs. Okay, all right. So you need to do those things. Show people who you are, what you have got, what are you going to achieve, what are you capable of, who you will be in the future, what benefit you will offer to people and communities. And those are very important issues that you need to touch upon in your personal statement and your CV later on. You need to tell who you are to people. You need to show that you have strong character, that you have confidence, that you have strong self-efficacy, that you are very punctual student. And what you have got, tell people that you have achieved something. You have gone so far in your academic careers. And what are you going to achieve? And mention to people that what you're going to do, what you're going to achieve if you got this scholarship, for example. What are you capable of? What are your strengths? And how those strengths can lead you to somewhere, and who you will be in the future, and what benefit you will offer. So those very critical questions that you need to show to people, and the way you show it academically is through personal statement and curriculum vitae. How are you going to write that? Later. Another two speakers will touch upon that. And yeah, what is personal statement? Personal statement is an identity of yourself. When you are good at giving identity to people, you show your identity. That means that the first step for you for being successful person in applying your higher education. And then in the personal statement, you force yourself to think deeply about your life. You write it down about your life, clarify its purpose, and identify what is truly important to you. I give you some elements, some points of what you're going to have in the personal statement. What is personal statement? Why it is important? So my work is to tell you why it is important, how it is important. How to write it is beyond my role at this particular moment. And then show your deepest values and aspirations. There's a personal statement. You can show your deepest values and aspirations about education, and also show your commitment and motivations. And also so you make a good impression with the personal statement. Allow us to sell ourselves to people. Don't sell it cheaply though. You have to sell it expensive. Like you have to put yourself somewhere above. Yeah. And then also allow students to discover if they truly love the subject. So in personal statement, there are two. My experience, I have to write two things in the past when I applied for my Fulbright scholarship. One personal statement, the other one study objective. The two are very linked. The two are linking to each other. Personal statement is the way that you tell who you are, what you're capable of, what you're gonna do, and why you deserve that scholarship. And study objective is telling the committee that you know something that you are about to study. So you are not blind in the subject you are about to learn. So people can see that you are strong in characters, but you are capable of and understanding of the knowledge that you are going to achieve. This is very important. Yeah. So those two components is very important. Personal statement, study objective. So maybe Pak Faishal later on, he experienced also the same thing because he got also Fulbright scholarship. So maybe he could talk more on statement and personal statement and also study objective. And in fact, when you apply for Awardee, like Lilis also experienced that, we also have to write the study objective, a personal statement in different form. But the content is similar. The form is different. I mean, the way we write it a bit different, but the content or what we need to tell people is the same. So you will get so many ideas and experience sharing later on for the second speaker, in the second and third speakers. So it is also demonstrating that the student knows what course they are applying to. So this is very important, applying for. So personal statement, study objective are the two sides of the same coin that I can say. But the two things are, both of them are very important and have the same values, and they are located in the same coins. And this is the reference that I got these ideas from Red Power, University of Plymouth, Claire, Sarah, and Alex. So I give credit to them because I take the ideas. And why CVs? This is my Ibu Lilis part later on. Yeah, CVs is important because it gives if you are first impressions, all right, it's a showcase of skill and experience that you have. So you demonstrate the right skill and experience that in your CV, and also you highlight with the CV. We can highlight our professional achievement similar to resume, and also you can show your academic accomplishment in the CV, and also conveying how you understand your own academic achievement or your own achievement. So CVs, I mean, with the CVs, you can have some ideas to show people. So in short, I can tell you that both CVs and personal statement are the two tools or device that you can show yourself to other people, and you introduce yourself to people. And you know what, the admission committee really need this information. You know, like someone asked for recommendation. You know why they need recommendation? Because they want someone, the one who know you, to give some impression about yourself. But apart from recommendation, you also need to write a very good personal statement and also CVs. And so why PSN CV? So what then? Universities need to recruit the best candidates, that for sure. So every universities need to have the best candidate that can be their students. So you need to impress them well. How are you going to impress them well? With personal statement and also with CVs. So you develop personal statement and you develop your CVs. Some fail, some succeed. So who gonna fail and who gonna succeed? That is depend on how you write your personal statement and how you develop your CVs. So this is no joke. I mean, like you can look down and then what we call it, underestimate the two elements in education, in applying for scholarship, but those two are very important. You may not only prepare yourself for the TOEFL or IELTS, but you need to practice writing a very good and very convincing personal statement and CVs, because there you have the time to show people how good you are. And yeah, two phases, you see, interesting, boring. So you need to show this one, the interesting one. How are you going to show that? Personal statement. Don't show boring things. So how to write a very interesting personal statement? Later on, don't ask me that questions. And how to avoid writing boring or bored personal statements? Don't ask me. You post question for the first and second speakers, for the second and the third speakers later on. So overall, reflecting to my own experience, I can say that I have achieved alhamdulillah, three prestigious scholarships in my life. I have Fulbright scholarship. I have first I won outside scholarship in 2001 and studied in Australia in 2002 up to 2003. 1.5 years for my master's degree, and also I won Fulbright scholarship in 2004, and I studied there in July 2004 to 2006, and I also got the scholarship for my PhD. I got scholarship from Ministry of Religious Affairs for my postdoctoral programs, and I got another scholarship from Australian Award Indonesia for my short-term award in Griffith and Australian National University. And those journey start first, of course, with the dua from yourself, from your loved one, from those who you love, and also starting with your personal statement and also CVs. Because sometimes people don't look at your TOEFL score and IELTS score per se. They look at who you are and how you depict yourself and illustrate and show yourself to others. Whether you are good, not good, or very good, personal statement and CVs will give you that impression, will give other people about you the impression that you have, or you're going to show them. So, because I'm given only 20 minutes. Is it 20 minutes already, Putri? So it could be 20 minutes already. So I don't want to take some other time, the time for Pak Faishal and also Bu Lilis. I would leave it there. If you want to ask questions about why it is important, why writing personal statement is important, why CV is important, and how I get to my scholarship with those personal statement and CVs, you may ask me later on. But how to write good personal statement and good CVs, don't ask me. Ask Pak Faishal and ask Ibu Lilis, because they are talking about this at this time. So, and I see Pak Faishal already there. Pak Faishal, okay. Pak Faishal, good luck and thank you for joining us. It should be midnight over there. And on behalf of Prodi and the head of the department, I thank you. I appreciate your time you have given us. And Bu Lilis, thank you, Bu Lilis. Thank you, Putri. And this is just a welcoming speech from me. I'm not the speaker at the moment. I'm just on behalf of the Prodi. So I welcome both of very great speakers and very good moderators. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Give back to you, Putri.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Zulfikar, for your tips, strategies, and how to write personal statements, CV, and resume, which is we will discuss it more deeply for the second speaker. He is Mr. Faishal. The time is yours, Mr. Faishal.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I think I have a bad connection, but let's try. Perhaps Tezul, you should stop sharing the screen. Uh,
Mungkin bisa ditunggu sebentar ya. Maybe we can wait for a while because we need for some technical.
okay, I can hear you. Moderator, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
I cannot.
Hold on.
Oh,
I
hold on.
see Dr. Zulfikar
Yes.
screen here.
Yeah, same
Yes.
here.
We would like to.
Just wait for a while because we need to close the slide.
Okay, tunggu nanti.
Just wait.
Okay, hop, stop.
Okay. Oh, okay. Mr.
Got it.
Faisal? Okay. Okay.
Got it. I gotta move as well. Probably I was in the other bedroom and probably the connection not good, so I gotta move. So well, thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Let me start with. So you hear me okay? You see my screen?
Yep.
Okay, good.
Okay.
Well, thank you very much, everyone, for inviting me, and maybe good morning, still morning in Banda Aceh, but it's almost midnight here in Midwest, somewhere in the Midwest of the United States. I'm very excited to be here, especially when I look at the number of participants, over 80 something. That's a lot of people want to. So I guess I wish I could communicate with them. I would just want to know who who is ready and who's not ready, who just want to listen, who just want to get a feel what it's like, or who's really ready with writing in their hand. So, but I guess I can see if they ask question later. So just like what Zulfikar was saying, the statement of purpose, or sometimes they call it personal statement, or very central to someone's application to especially in US. I'm not talking about Australian context, because not like by Zulfikar, I've never studied in Australia, so I don't know the context over there. But I did my master's in Pennsylvania in 2006, and then I went to the US in 2015 to do my PhD. So both of them are both of my degree programs are in the US. So I'm going to talk about the expectation, and also the likelihood, the kind of personal statement that can be likely be accepted, at the by the US graduate program. So if someone raise a hand, what does it mean? Moderator, I see someone raising a hand. Is that like I should?
Who is raising the hand?
Ariano Lakota raise hand. Is that like I should respond, or what do we do? Sorry, I forgot to ask.
He said go on. Oh, it's okay. Maybe made some mistake, or just go ahead.
Oh, okay. So let me Probably I have only about 40 minutes, I guess. So there are a lot of things I mean, we can talk about, and Dr. Zulfikar has talked some of them, you know, pretty much the same thing, but because he's unique in this situation, he's experienced in both contexts. So let's start what I think it's good, and then we'll end our session with some kind of sample writing, so you can see the actual works that have been submitted to U.S. University and got admissions. Start with that. So what is it? What is it? So just like Dr. Zulfikar said earlier, it's really something that the admission committee is really looking for. So you can have everything else in your application. You can have, you know, GPA 4.0, you know, all kinds of things, job, I work at the UN, work blah, 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 all kinds of great things you can write. You can have some, I mean, you don't even have to write, it's there, the document, the artifacts there saying like, oh, your GPA is good and this is my CV, I have all this. But the statement of purpose is served even further than that. It's like, it tells them what they can't see from all the documents they submitted, you know, and so it's sort of like if you don't have it, your application will be denied. So that's how important it is. Okay, you can read, and then it's very critical. It's often a determinant. It's really, really important. So, and if you ask what kind of, I mean, I say it's soft. What kind of soft is this? There are two kinds. Sometimes when you go to the university website and you go to admissions criteria and everything, you know, requirement, and they ask for statement of purpose or personal statements that have prompt one direction. They ask you how many pages you should write, how many words you should write, and what question you have to respond, and things like that. Sometimes they don't even have anything, you know. So, but you have to remember that this is, even if they don't ask you to do anything, they don't really meet the words that you have to write in. You have to remember that this is not something that you can write a lot. You can, you know, beat around the bush and things like that. It needs spatial attentions and skill to write a good statement of purpose. So and then Dr. Zulfikar has talked about this earlier and maybe sort of like limited, but let me try to repeat this. So what do the admission officer want to know? It's first, it's the why. Why are you looking in, you know, why are you pursuing the admission in the program? Whatever the program, the why is very important. And also they want to know whether you have researched the program. This is important, guys. Before you apply to any university, any program, you have to research it. Learn what the program's strengths, learns what the program, you know, professors research, latest research, and things like that. You have to know, learn. So this is something that you would need when you write your statement of proposal. And you will show this to the admission officer, that you know what just like you know what you're trying to get. So it's not like membeli kucing dalam karung, you know, that's what we say, that you don't know what you're trying to get. So you have to know, you have to really know. And then they also want to know whether the program that they're offering, with their strengths, uniqueness, and everything, is really fit those of your missions and goals. it's not easy to just say, oh, I want this program because it looks great, amazing, all kinds of flattery kind of words. Those won't work. It really have to match yours. How? You don't go around and write something. You say, oh, your program really match mine. That's it. You don't do that. You don't do it match mine in that sense. But tell it, explain. Elaborate why your goal and the program's missions and goal are match. So it means you'll benefit from each other, something like that. And then this is also important. If you are admitted into the program, can you be an asset to the program? And how your scholarship, your research, contribute to the program. So, just like what Joel said, they're looking to recruit the best candidate for their program, not just because they see that you're smart and you can develop yourself, but they want to look at, as you try to develop yourself as a professional or as a personal. They also want to see what you're doing, what you research, what you're writing, what you're studying, and everything actually will contribute to the betterments of the program itself. So you can be an asset to them. That's what they want to know. And what about something they don't want to know? There are things they don't want to see. For example, I really warn you. This is a warning that this is writing your statement of purpose seriously. You have to write it seriously, because poorly written SOPs will be denied and dismissed. So it means if you're applying to a U.S. university, you definitely have to write in English, and it has, you have to write with a very good language and grammar. Shouldn't be any mistake there and things like that. So they don't want poorly written SOPs. And lackadaisically, what does it mean? What lackadaisically is? It means half-hearted. Setengah hati. When you write, it's like, think about this. This admission officer probably read or have read maybe 1,000, if not 100,000 of SOPs throughout their career. So they would know. They would know right away if you write your essays half-heartedly or lackadaisically. It's if you're not serious, they would know. So you have to be serious, and you have to show them that you have put a very serious thought about what you said. And then, just similar to the first one, they do not want to see a verbose SOP, statement of purpose. They don't want it. You probably know what the verbose means. It's like you beat around the bush. This is very important, and there are many things you want to say about yourself, of course, and many things you want to say. But remember, this is usually limited. I would say around 500 is a very normal kind of limit that they would give. So you have to try to say many things in that 500 word limit. It's not easy job to do that. It's especially if you like to not go directly to the point. If you like to write that way, just for the purpose of SOPs, you really have to learn how to be direct and to the focus kind of point. When you say something, say directly to the focus. So it's very important. So it means that you need time to write. Do not write this just 5 days before you submit. No. Do it like months before that. It's okay. Just and then you can ask someone to read and things like that. We'll talk about that later. And then, so before I talk about SOP in generals, what do you want? What do you need to do before you can write this? Okay. Again, first, make sure you know what you want to pursue. So the thing is you have to know to explain when people ask you, what do you want to study, for example. And if you're not sure about what you want, and then you apply to a program, it's going to end up being a disaster. So you have to be like, you have to know what you want. I want to study, I want to focus my research on teacher professional developments, focusing on online, medium, for example. There you go. You have some sort of like some kind of narrow kind of objective there. But if you want to say, I want to study education, I want to study technology and education. What is it? What? Especially in doctoral program, you have to be focused. You have to know what you want. And then, again, I'll repeat, you have to research the program. So this is important. I will tell you why this is important. You have to know the program. You have to know the mission. You have to know the professor. You have to know what the professor have published. You have to know what the professor have researched, the strength, the rating. You need to see the rating as well. Is that like the best school in education in the US, for example, or things like that. But my program, for example, my program is my school of program. I'm in School of Education. So I use School of Education is among the 20s in the US, for example. So you feel proud. And think about this: if you research a professor whose writing is and whose book, whose article you read, you've been reading, you've been using it in your program, and you found the match, you like it, and then you get to study there. You study with the professor whose writing was your kind of reference. How cool is that? That's what I did. So as I did that, I researched the professor, and then I know the professor. I emailed the professor, and then in my SOP I mentioned her, and then she become my advisor from the day one until now. She's the chair of my dissertation committee, for example. This is something that you have to start from early on. Do not wait until you get to the US, you think about it. No. And if you find a professor, for example, I just mentioned that, whose expertise, interest, or line of research matches yours, then you have to establish context. It's very important for you to establish context. This is probably a little bit different from Australian perspective. I mean, because I try to apply it to Australian university also as well before. I try to contact them as well. But in the US, though, you don't have to. Some school maybe don't ask you to have, but it's a good idea to start context, establish contact with your the professor you want to work with. And then, how about this? How do you this is if I'm going too fast, is this recorded?
Yes, it is. It is recorded.
Okay. If it is recorded, then yes. Yeah, you could see. So I'll. This is based. It's not. I just want to say that this is not a single format that you have to follow. There's no single format you have to follow. But this is the usual structure that I see here. So let's just go through this. First, as you go, you write. I would say you're writing about 2 pages, which is about 500 words. So in the first part, you have to sort of introduce yourself. The way you introduce yourself, you don't have to go through, my name is, this, I study here, I'm from this university. You don't have to do that. You're actually wasting the space. You have to know how do you don't have to mention all those, but that's a way. We can see an example. Introduce yourself, state your goal, interest, and motivation. It's right away, to the point. Don't go around the bush. And part 2 is important. Is that you can talk about what you'd studied. If you haven't worked, haven't worked, you can talk about your previous study. If you're applying for a master's program, talk about your undergraduate program. And again, if you're looking to apply to a PhD program, You can talk about your previous grad program, like a master's program, things like that. So in part 2, and then part 3, you discuss the relevance between what you have done with the program you intend to apply. That can help you succeed. So you have to sort of like make relevant between what you have done. It's, if you are teaching, I'll give you an example. If you are teaching English in such and such university in Indonesia, and you had done research in this context in teachers professional development, for example, done research with that, and you have published in such and such journal, for example, or you have collaborated with such and such university, and then all those experience, try to match that. How can this experience, this teaching experience, this research experience, how this match to the program you're applying? At least how this transition you, as you try to develop even more, once you admit it into the program in the US. Does it have some sort of relevant? So you see, talking about yourself, not just about talking about yourself, but you have to see why you talk about yourself. And that's another one. And then part 5, you discuss why pursue admission in the program. Why this program? Why program at Harvard University? Why not program at Northeastern University? Why program at George Washington University? Why not program at Indiana University in Bloomington? And things like that. You have to say. So in order for you to mention that, it's not just simply, it's not simply enough to say this is the best program in the whole wide world, things like that. Those kind of flattery world, they don't buy it. They don't buy that. So you have to say it, elaborate. Do not offer too much flattery word. And then you can end your statement of purpose in this is important. I remember Joel said something about being enthusiastic, being, all kind of stuff that people don't see. I mean, that admission officer don't see in your application material, but you can show them in your SOP. In this positive manner, show your excitement. How you're excited, how you're ready for challenges ahead. So. Okay, and then let me. So, moderator, is it a time for? Will I be given time to answer questions, or does it work? Or wait until the end.
Wait till the end. There is a session for Q&A.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I have. I think my time's almost up, but can I have another 5 minutes? Let me wrap up this. So here's a sample. It's my own writing. Forgive me if I use my own writing for this, but I think it can give an idea of how to write this. So this is not something I wrote for tonight or for today's webinar. It's something that I actually use. This is something that I actually use when I apply for admission at the Indiana University, Bloomington. Indiana University of Bloomington. This is what I use. The actual word I use. I have not edited since then, but believe me, I wrote this. It took me, I don't know. It took me a month to do this. I edited like at least 4 or 5 times before I came to this one. So there's so many things I wanted to write, but I could write it within 500 words. This is about 595 words, something like that. So within the limit me about 500 words, but I could this is how it worked. So if you can see, I don't know whether you can see this to the right side, where in the first paragraph, you can see the goals, interests, motivation, and problem are stated here. You see, I don't want to go around and say other things, but right away I'll say my goal is to pursue a PhD in literacy, culture, and language education. That's the program I'm in now, specializing in this, in English language teacher teacher education. This academic interest close in my heart, blah, blah, blah. You say everything. What your motivation? Why are you in there? And then you say some kind of problem. The problem is like, for example, I have witnessed many processes of the teacher education program in my country, have not, blah, blah, blah. And then, so you show like, this is something that I want to go. If I'm accepted in your program, my country is liking this, I want to study this, so then I can go home and do something about it, or at least, even if I'm not going, something like that. And then the second part, so you mentioned of language, of learning goals that, the learning goals that are appropriated with the goals and the missions of the program that you're applying to. Like, this means, you have done your homework when you mentioned, for example, here, for me to have an impact, I need to learn not only about classroom setting, LT goal, and all these things are actually covered by the program that I'm applying. And then remember when I mentioned about professors, I mentioned the professors I would like to work with, at least 2. You see this, how I do it? And she ended up being my advisor for the first day until now. And then she also chairing my dissertation. So I want to find focus. I want to find connection from early on. I wrote it there. And then after I wrote this, I established context. I talked to her. I sent application. I want to work with you, blah, blah, blah. That's why I have this good connection. Also with Dr. Samuelson, for example, here, the name here. I mentioned them. So that's important. That means, what does it tell you when you do this? What does it tell the admission official when you do this? It means you did your homework. You research the program. You find the fit and everything. And then what about this one? The next part mentions a previous study. So I mentioned my MA program. What do I do? What do I do? And then what I learn, things like that. How this learning from the master program can bridge me to further learning in the doctoral program. So, and then since I mentioned, this is another suggestion. If you mention a professor from your master program, from your undergraduate program in your SOP, you can ask this professor to write something for you. It's even stronger. Like for my case, for example, I mentioned Dr. Gebhardt, for example, and I asked him to write a very good one. He did write a good writing, and then all this, strengthens you, can potentially strengthen your writing. And the last 2 paragraphs, and I talk about how the program, I talk about, again, after you done your homework, you study about the program, and you mention how this program contributes to your future goal, whatever, or career goal, in the link. So then the admission officer can see a link. Oh yes, if this guy is accepted and he studies this, and then he can, it'll be able to help him, realize whatever he planned to do in the future and things like that. That's important. So improve all of this thing that I said, actually something that are covered by the program. The doctoral degree in LCLE will help me deepen my knowledge of research methodology, things like that. And the last part, it shows something. I'll talk about why the program, why Indiana University of Bloomington, why. So you see, it's high education standard and environment. This is what I see. How I know this? I read their description and everything, so I can find balance between theoretical and empirical knowledge. My experience will certainly reach. You mentioned about what you plan to do again, and also you don't forget to show your excitement, your how do I say that? Your readiness, to start, though it is challenging, but you want to start. With an open mind. You see this, and you can see, you can show them you're confident that this is going to be very exciting and rewarding and worthwhile kind of experience if I'm admitted into the program. Something like that. You have your own style, But I'm not saying this is the best example. No, it just want to show you that at hard work. Of course, among all the documents you have TOEFL score and things like that. This is one of the most important. And I think that's it. My time is up. I'll wait for question at the end. So you can take over, moderator.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Faishal, for your presentation, which is deeply discussed on how to structure the personal statement, which is before we write our personal statement, we need to search and learn the program and match the program with you, and you can also like understand well what you want. That's all what I got from Mr. Faishal. Maybe we can go to the next speaker, Miss Lilis, which is she will explain more about resume or CV, crafting an effective resume and CV for U.S. university application. Time is for you, Miss Lilis.
Okay. Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Putri, for the invitation. Yeah, and now I would like to share about the topic, which is about can everyone see? Yep. Okay. All right. So the topic is building your resume or CV for U.S. graduate school applications. So why CV? Again, as Faishal has mentioned, it actually complements the application for U.S. universities. When you apply for U.S. university, they will require some components. For example, your TOEFL score, GRE, and then sometimes they also request for interview. But before that, two important document that you have to submit is your CV or resume, and also personal statement. Right. Okay. Okay. No, here you go. So if we talked about, probably you have heard these terms used interchangeably, CVs and resume. What are different and how they are different? Right, CV is actually stand for curriculum vitae, or which means course of life in Latin, right? And in terms of length, it can be over more 2 or more pages. And in terms of content, it's actually cover high level of detail about your achievement, more than just a career biography. So if we talked about CV, when people look at your CV or read your CV, it really represents who you are in terms of your achievement, right? But this is not simply about your career. What it covers, it includes education, teaching and research experience, publications, awards, presentations, honors, and additional details, full history of academic credentials. So if you see what you can really showcase who you are through these items. It's static and doesn't change for different positions. What it means is that once you earn, for example, a degree or you publish paper, you will put that in your CVs. And it's served for every purposes because it's who you are, right? While for resume, it's quite different because resume itself, it means summary in French. How it's different is compared to CV, resume is more concise and it's typically not longer than one page. Sometimes some people write it into 2 pages. And what it includes is summary of experience, education, and skills. While in CV you see a lot of other documents or components, in this document, mostly it's about your experience, education, and skills. Why it should be so short? Because the goal is really like to attract the reader, whoever read your CVs. So think about how you want to show who you are, but then people who do not have a lot of time will notify, or who kind of notice and see that you are one of the candidates. Either it can be for jobs or it can be for school admissions. So the goal is to make an individual stand out from the competition. Why resume? Because some research show that most of job, like hiring manager or hiring boards only check your resume or your CV in 6 seconds. Meaning, like, you really have to show that you are one of the best candidate and you have competitive skills that you can be sent out from others applicants. And it should adapt the resume to every position the applicants are applying for. What it means, while I mentioned in the beginning that CV is everything about you and resume is everything, not everything, but you kind of presents important points or information about you that are relevant to the purpose. For example, if you are applying for university, then you only provide information that are relevant to universities. What about the job? The same thing. For example, you kind of say, oh, you like participating in a lot of seminars and projects. But in terms of, job applications or admissions, you might want to emphasize the most important points that are relevant to the positions or the programs that you are applying for. How are the difference? Mostly in 3, differences. The first is in the length. CVs are longer. It can be over 2 pages, and then resume is only 1 page. The purpose are also different, and the layout. Like, think about the length, and it also affected the layout. CV is long, cover entire career and static. Resume, it's short documents, no particular format rules, and highly customizable depending on the purpose. So what are common to both, CVs and resumes? First is you need to have contact information on top. At the top of the documents. Like if you see here, like Joseph tenure is in the top, and then this is a very black. This is not a color, right? This is a name. And also the color, you might to make sure that you use white or cream or gray paper of good quality, not pink, so it's not advisable to use that. And again, US letter, you might want to use very, tidy or also visual letters. Say, for example, monotype cursiva is a good letter, but not really, visible for the CV. And the size, some say like size 10 to 12 would be okay, depending on the, the font that you are using. The format is US letters. This is, sometimes people use A4, but again, it's only 1 page. So if you use US letter, it will allow you to put more information in the documents or your CV or your resume. Content in reverse chronological order, most recent first. So if you say, for example, you have Ph.D. or you have publications, so you want to put the latest publications first, and then the others follow. And no I statement of first person. If you see here, probably this is too small, but if you see, say for example, research assistant here, there is no I conducted interviews, but it's stated in bullet point and using active verbs, which is conducting interviews or research tasks or took measurements. And another point is answer questions. So in writing the resume or CV, please avoid using I statement or first person. No photos included. This is very unique because when it comes to US university application or job application in the US, they do not really consider like your physical appearance or your race or your age, as long as you have qualification that fits or meets the requirement or criteria of the applicants that they are looking for. You can definitely have the same or equal right as the other applicants. So it's considered a racist to put photos or other personal information, like say for example your age or another thing is your marital status. It is not really considered important in U.S. admissions or in the same thing when you apply for the job. Nah, this is more specific of U.S. resume. Contact information at the top, right? So this is the name of the applicants to U.S. universities. I took it from Michigan State University. And tailored to the position, meaning like it depends on the purpose. And 1 or 2 pages, not longer than that. What if I have a lot of information to put in? Then you have to select the most relevant information. Educational qualification, yeah? So after the contact information at the top, the next follow is educational qualifications. It includes education. So when you write education, for example, is Michigan State University, right? And this is the location. The date is on the right hand, right? And then the Bachelor of Arts. You can also include concentration in Spanish and, for example, Spanish and education. GPAs can also be considered, especially if you have, like high GPA, put it in there, like just to attract the readers of or the admission board. Why it didn't please, for example, it also show that okay, this is one of the achievement when the applicants are applying that school. And experience, these are experiences, say for example, Northwest Initiative, and then faces research projects, study abroad, and they also put the date and when it starts and when it ends. So this is very important because I'm gonna tell you later on why this date is important. Additional experiences, you can put it here, and then the same thing, the time. Affiliations, most of the time you should put it in the very bottom of the CV or resume. Okay, right? So this is CV. Okay, and you as your academic life in school, it's more detailed. You can put a lot of information in this documents. The same thing, contact information at the top, and then educational qualifications. Like you put your PhD, for example, and the place and the date, and research interests, research experience, teaching experience. What else? And then publications and presentations, awards, honors, affiliations, special skills, and references. So why we need to put references is really because once you apply to US universities, they sometimes want to see who are you, the referees. So you can put it at the bottom. So in this document, in CVs, if you compare to previous form of resume, you see like this is shorter, while this is longer and more extensive, as it covered not simply education and skills, but also like research, teaching, publication, everything, right? So in short, we can say like CVs are used by individual seeking for fellowships, grant, postdoctoral positions, teaching research position in post-secondary institution or high-level research position in industries. Because when you want to find, like for example, fellowship, you want to demonstrate list of publications, list of awards. And most, like graduate schools, some of them request a CV, but in general are looking for resume that includes any publications and descriptions of research projects. Is there any fixed template of this? Is there any? No, definitely not. And you can customize that. Again, depends on the purpose of writing the resume. And US colleges and universities generally take a holistic approach to evaluate applicants, meaning like CV is one component. What if I do not have a lot of publications? It's okay, right? That's something probably what you have currently. And then you want to elaborate more or convince the board of admissions through what Pak Faishal has mentioned, which is statement of purpose. Why you will be the best candidate? What contribution can you give to the schools? And resume and CV can be used for a way to represent yourself holistically. Yes, that's definitely true, because again, when you write your CV, you can tell them, you can showcase what role have you performed, what worked well, and what impact have you done through your work or careers. So what are the components of resume or CVs, especially in terms of, like for the purpose of admission board for university applications? The first one is you need to demonstrate skills and accomplishments. How can I do that? Through, for example, your work experiences, to your awards, and publications can be one or another things. And including if you have, for example, in the example I have showed as the GPA, high GPA that you have earned from previous degree. And then you also need to learn and research what employers and admission committee want. How do I know what they are looking for? Like, what are the expectations? Is through their website. Look at the program that you are looking for, and then there will be a lot of descriptions of the goals of the programs, and then including the curriculum they offer. Like check the say for example the courses they are offering, and is there any internship and other things, and then you can match that with your CV and resume. And appropriate format and layout. Again, there is no single format for CV and resume. Some schools provide CV, the format, some don't. So if you're not really sure, you want to check with the universities. So you want to review, before you write your resume or CV, you want to review the application requirements for the department or graduate schools. I think I've elaborated this. More specifically, look at the keywords in their, for example, program objective. Is there any keyword mentioned there that are relevant to the content of your CV? For example, say you are applying for the program of curriculum development, and you want to check in your CV, is there any component or previous experience in which I get involved and say, for example, developing curriculum or related to curriculum development projects? And if it's unclear whether they prefer a CV, resume, or a combination of both, contact them to us. Like they may not require any one. So by that, you can kind of craft your own CV without looking at the format. And then, but definitely you want to consider important elements that I have presented previously, such as education, experience, publications. If you're applying for PhD programs, publications and awards, and probably other, like relevant work experience would support your successful application in the US universities. Writing should be crisp, concise, and compelling. Again, there are thousands of applicants to the university, and then you want to make sure that you do not put everything, but you only put you know, like relevant information and say it concisely, and check the, you know, like the vocabulary or the verb you use should demonstrate the impact that you have done through your work. Use purple bullets to write bullets that show your impact. Yeah, instead of listing every task you perform, you're gonna take 10 pages if you wanna write in the list, right? Especially in the paragraph. So that's something you don't want to do. You really want to write your CV neatly using power bullets. Keep it short for one page and for every 5-year experience. What if the experience, say for example, 20 years ago? Check, is that relevant experience? If yes, you might want to include, but if not, you have more relevant, then you might want to leave that. Short bullets, no more than 2 lines for each bullet, ideally 1 line, and remove information that's not relevant to your goals. Contact information only needs to contain your email, phone number, and customized LinkedIn URL. So again, no sex, no marital status, right? And no height, that's not necessary. How to write education, for example. This is just an example part of the CV or resume. You want to make sure that list in reverse chronological order, provide full name of the program, include the start date, and you can include study abroad, GPA, and highlight several courses. This is the example, BSB American University. This is really not clear, right? So you want to make it more specific. Correct version, Master of Science Finance applicants, Bachelor of Science in Business, this the university, and this is the GPA, and then these are some courses taken throughout the study. Yeah, I think that's all. If you do have more questions later on, we can definitely address that through the Q&A sessions. Over to you, Putri.
Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Lilis, for giving us more detailed information on how to write CV and resume. It's time for Q&A. If the participant have a question, please write in Q&A column. You can type here, and there are some questions. Before we go to the answer of the question, there are many questions about where we can get the link for the presentation slide. Maybe can someone help us where we can find the link for the presentation, or where we can get it?
The slide, we can send it to the committee, then you can distribute it to them.
Yeah.
That's mine. So
I guess Faishal,
Yes,
if you want, you can, like, you know, send it to me, and then later on, any participants who wants to get the materials can contact EducationUSA Aceh, and then I will distribute it. Yeah, I'll type the emails in the chat box anyway. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Faishal and Ms. Lilis, for answering the questions. So the first question is, what are the common mistakes when we build the personal statement and study objective? And then second question is it okay if I make up my CV? And then the third question is, first, to pursue Ph.D, non-dictee and non-A lecturer, we have to attach some publications? Second, for Mr. Faishal, Mr. Faishal said that we should contact supervisor before we get to US. Okay, and then the last, oh no.
So, sorry, Putri, probably we can just go through one by one questions, right? Sorry.
Yeah, we could. I could try to respond to some of the questions that specifically for me, specifically for me. And
about contact supervisor, and then
okay, here we go. I think I can answer both questions. To pursue PhD non-dictee or non-lecture, do we have
some publication.
have to attach some publication? Here's the thing, based on my experience as I browse some of the university that I want to apply, I forgot to mention that before when I apply, you need to apply to several universities, not just one. So you don't want to throw all your egg in one basket. You know that what it means? The idioms in English, putting all the egg in one basket. So you don't want to do that. You have to send to several. So in my point, I sent to my application to 3. Ohio State University, and I did try the biggest one, which is Columbia University, and then I go to second one. So you rank the first one, second, third, something like that. Yes, so it depends on some of the universities might ask you to have some sort of publication, but I think mostly they don't really require that as something that you have to have publication. Because unlike the PhD program in the Australian context, or maybe in Europe, where you don't take classes, where you don't take, all this number of credits. So most US, particularly for the doctoral program, they don't actually require you to have some kind of publication. But it's it's going to be a good contribution if you have it. If not, what they ask, however, is a sample writing. Sample writing can be if you are applying for a PhD program, it can be a paper that you write for your master program, or if you are in S1, you're applying for a master, you can choose a dissertation, if it is, your thesis, your scriptsy, if it is written in English. They just want to know a sample writing. So it's not like you have to have a publication in Q1, Q2, Scopus Index kind of publication. No. And I hope that answered the question. So, and number 2, we should contact before you get to the, what I mean is like, not really before you get to the US, but at least it's something you have to do before you even send your application. You have to establish context. So that way, but don't get discouraged. Some of the professors are too busy, they don't answer your email. Don't get discouraged. There are many universities in the US. They are all good, don't worry. So don't get too hung up with the idea of Ivy League, for example. Ivy League school is good. Oh, well, I want to go to Harvard, or I want to go to Columbia University, like I did. I did try to apply to Columbia University, for example. It's don't get too hung up with that. But sometimes the program are not. The names are big. Maybe the program you're applying are not that big. There are other smaller universities with a far better program. So again, Ibu Lilis can advise you on this, but I just want to say one thing. When you hear someone studying at Harvard, whatever university, or Princeton, or you have to look at what kind of program they're studying. Sometimes a smaller university can have better program than that. So it's like Harvard, of course, law is very it's cool. It's yeah, of course, things like that. So you should. Why do I say that? Anyway, but yeah, it's a good idea to maintain contact, so whether you are in right fit, and the professor can answer you. But if they don't answer, go to a different university, or maybe you don't remember the time different. Also think about the time different. Like morning in Aceh, it will be afternoon. In the evening. So you don't want to write. You don't want to write like sometimes some professor will answer your email right away. So if you do, like, you wait until 10 in the evening in Aceh, you just do it and you shoot the email, and then it's 9 o'clock in the morning in the US. So probably the professor turn on the computer and then see your email right away and then decide to answer. You see what I mean? So don't be discouraged. You don't get an email right away from the professor. Join the second question is for attendees. The speaker told that we could write either. I don't know.
Okay, maybe for the second question is from Fajri. What are the common mistakes when we build the personal statement and study objective, maybe Mr. Zulfikar or Mr. Faishal, Ms. Lilis want to answer this question?
Common mistake. I mean, I pretty much say it earlier in my presentation and what you do and what you don't have to. Is that I don't know if I can think of another thing like do not write, do not beat around the bush. I mean, it's like, and they don't want something. They want to know that you're serious. Show your seriousness. So first thing to do is by writing in a very good language. So
Faisal.
yes, go ahead.
Sorry, may I add on like one point on that?
Yeah.
Right. So CV and resume, like CV or resume with personal statement are, you know, like actually very intertwining. But again, you have to make sure that what you have stated in the CV, you do not copy paste that to your personal statement, right?
Exactly.
Because
they can read
right,
the CV.
That's true. Right. That's one point I would like to add. Right.
Okay, we have to like make the personal statement is concise and show our what
Strong.
yeah.
It's concise and important. It's very difficult to write a lot of things in 500 words.
Yep.
I told you, it took me months to write that sample I showed you. So, yeah. And you need to ask people for help as well if you're not sure about your capability.
Okay. And then Rahmat Hidayatullah is asking about, is it okay if I make up my CV? Maybe Miss Lilis can answer this question.
So yes, thanks Putri. And for Rahmat, I don't think it's ethical to make up your CV, especially if you're apply for, you know, like university or if you apply for scholarship, because when you make up your story, so that lies gonna continue until the interview and until you get accepted. So my suggestion, just be honest and then include all relevant information that show who you are. If you kind of say, for example, oh, I have weaknesses in publications, but you can empower or you know, like strengthen some points in your work experiences. So say it right, do not make it up, just put relevant information, right? Because at the end of the day, when they know that this is not a right CV or not an honest CV, then you can have very bad consequences of this. Yeah.
Okay, next question is for Mr. Faishal. This is from anonymous attendant. Mr. Faishal, sometime maybe last week, last week I joined this short of webinar. The speaker told us that we could write either what we're aiming for the education, or we can tell about ourselves if we belong to underrepresented people. What do you think about it? Should I mix those two or just use either one? Okay, the question is.
I think I got what you mean. What the question is trying to ask. So it's like I told you, statement of purpose is about yourself, telling about yourself. So you can mention that the fact that you are from underrepresented communities, for example, that could help, but it depends on how you write. If you write that as a way for you to show that passions, a future plan for you, that once I get education in the program, then I'm going to do this to help this underrepresented community. So it's not just enough to say that I am from such and such community and who've never received attention from the government. And then what? You don't have anything to say. I mean, and then they say, and then so what? You know, it's difficult to answer the so what question in that case. but mention it, but then link it with what you plan to do, with what you plan to study, how this spatial underrepresentation can they can see that what's a relation between you mentioning that and with your plan of study and your plan in the future. I think that's
again, the question the question is if our current work experience don't match the goals to the scholarship or the program, then should we include, as it happened 3 years and it's not good to leave? Yeah, I mean, the question should we include the current work experience which is not matched to the goal of the program?
I think this a person is trying to ask about the CV.
I guess yeah.
It is more for the CV, I think. It's
Yeah.
but let me try to answer like in a few words. It's a little bit difficult, I know, to have something to work to have work something different, but then when you go to a higher degree and then you study something else, so it's a bit difficult to find some kind of connection. But you could still do that. A lot of people study A in their undergraduate program and then study C in the master's or doctoral program, but you have to find fit. At least if you don't have past experience, you could link with what you plan in the future. That can also help.
Okay, this is a question for Miss Lilis about resume. Is it okay if we make one specialized section to show our publication?
Yeah, yes, definitely. Because again, depending on, say for example, after you check the university and there is no template, and then you can kind of add some points that you consider really important. And can I make specialized section for publication? Yes, because publication and, for example, the other elements or component in your CV are not related. I would suggest you make a specialized section for publication, and then say publications, and next section would be awards, and then section would be like work experiences. Yes, so mixing all the components into one section would be really messy. So then breaking that into some, like points or sections would help the reviewer, like identify what information you want to emphasize. Yeah.
Again, the question is from Fatima Zura. It's about CV. Does the template of the CV, such as Europass, etc., matter? Does it give bonus to the CV, or using the plain paper should be fine?
I guess, well, using, I have checked the Europass, and then there is a one part of the Europass template where you can put your, say, photos and other personal information. So again, the most important thing in, like in addition to layout is really the content. So if you check the template and there is no photo part, so please do not put any photo in it, because in application process or in the document required by university, especially in US universities, do not require and do not want the applicants to include their super personal information in their CV or resume. So
that is correct. I want to mention that one thing.
Yeah.
They do not want to see your phone number. They do not see. They do not want to know whether you're married or not, have 3 kids, live in such and such.
Yeah.
We do not put address. That
Yeah.
is taboo. Things.
Yeah.
We don't do that. They do not want to see your face, because this thing can lead to some sort of discrimination.
Right.
So the US, they have that they always say that non-discriminatory kind of practice. They do not see any of those. They do not want to see your skin, whatever it is, or they don't want to identify you with anything. They don't even ask you male or female, no.
Yeah.
Just the email address.
But I guess using plain paper would be better, because by using plain paper, then the information will be more clear compared to using, like colorful paper. which is not really advised to use when writing your CV or resume.
Right, right.
Next question is from Prakoso for both speakers. What if I don't have enough educational accomplishment or achievement during my study in the college? Will I still be considered as a prospective candidate? I don't feel confident enough because of this, but I have a pretty strong will to pursue my master's degree in one of US university. Maybe
Strong will is, I would say strong will, it's enough for now. You know, you don't have to have, if you believe me, I don't have this, how do I say this? When I was doing my undergrad program, I don't have all those big achievements. My friend back then, you know, I couldn't even form sentences, correct sentences in English. And my friend, I was in semester 4. My friend, they applied to Pemuda ASEAN. They went to Asian countries. They went to Australia, study English for 3 months. I was like with my jaw dropped. I couldn't do it. I was so envious of it. But I could still do it at the end. The strong will is the first thing you have to have. And then you have to mention, though you don't have achievement, whatever achievement is, I think it depends on how you translate that. But one thing you have to have is that the university, or particularly this scholarship, they want to know what kind of contribution are you trying to bring into your community. So it's a community service that is very important. So they don't want to give it to someone who's looking to develop only their own. So your community engagement. Can you show some sort of community engagement? You don't have to be a cum laude or something to be eligible to apply to U.S. university. You don't have to. But what you do afterward, what you do to your community, and what you plan to do when you graduate, that is why the statement of purpose is very important. How you convince them. I may not have all this fancy kind of achievement. I may not have all this whatever award that such and such president gave, but this is what I'm gonna do. I'm passionate about changing something in me and in my immediate community and things like that. That is something you have to show in your statement of purpose. So yes, strong will. I like that. You have that. That's a key point for now. And then go.
And that's what differentiates the CV and the personal statement. CV demonstrate or show your skills or your previous experiences, while in the statement of purpose, you kind of tell the board of admissions that you are an ideal candidate for that, and that's why we kind of if you that's the meaning of like a holistic approach in US universities. If you are not really strong in terms of CV, but you can make a really like a strong personal statement to support your application. So really well said, Pak Faishal.
Can I add one more thing?
Yeah.
Like if you for example have a lower, they ask for 100 for IBT, for example, internet-based test, TOEFL. Some university you have to go through and study it very well on the page, on the website. Some universities, like for example, my university, Indiana University of Bloomington, for example, though it requires you to have a GRE and such score, things like that, but they did mention one thing at the end. These score tests, these test score are not absolute. It means they want to see what you write in your statement of purpose. They can still admit you, though your TOEFL score is not 100, but you get 97, for example, or 95, that will work. As long as you have a strong statement of purposes.
Yeah. But then it also depends on the program you are taking. It's like science program really demands.
Pak Faishal and Bu Lilis.
Yes, Pak.
Hello.
Yes.
Can I add something about
Sure.
that?
Sure.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I do agree. Sorry, I'm driving, so I cannot play my video. Yeah. About the personal statement. I really what we call it, you can say something what you want, what you're gonna achieve, but please don't boastful. I think say it. You cannot say that I want to improve the conditions of Indonesian education is beyond
Oh,
your reach.
yes.
I
Yes.
think say something that what you can contribute into your context. I never say that one of the mistake that most applicant mention is that very too overconfident. Actually, they are overconfident. They think that they're gonna save the world when they get a degree from the
No, they don't
US
expect that.
university.
Admission people do
They
not
don't buy
expect
it.
that.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So please say beyond within your reach, not go beyond your reach. So I think
Yeah.
that one.
Right.
Just want to add.
Right. Right.
Well said.
Something feasible.
Yeah. Okay. Next question.
Yeah, next question is
Oh, masters.
from UD.
Oh,
Yeah,
we're from Bangka Belitung. Wow.
yeah, Bangka Belitung. My master is not linear with my bachelor degree. I'm planning to take my second master related to my bachelor degree. Is it possible to apply for the second degree? And shall I put into my CV or personal statement that I have taken a master degree?
Okay.
Maybe.
But Zulfikar will be the best person to answer this. He has 2 master's degree.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe Pak Faisal and Bu Lilis can add for my information. Yeah. Alhamdulillah, I did the 2 master degree actually, and my first master degree is a bit different from my bachelor. I did my language education in my bachelor. My first master degree at Monash, I'm doing leadership policy and change. But in the US, I'm doing minor of applied linguistics and also teaching education. So uh, it's okay if you want to put your previous studies for previous master's degree, which is not really relevant to your bachelor. But the question is whether your second master is relevant to your bachelor or not. If that what you choose, I think you must go ahead, hit it, and put it your educational program at in your master degree, which is not really relevant. I think that will add for your what we call it, your resume. But with the condition, you know what? Like my experience at Ohio University, I put my previous master and the master's degree that I achieved at Ohio University, and I also apply for my PhD. Uh, it's actually if I got the scholarship from Ohio for my PhD, they will reduce my stipend because I have 2 masters. So they count the hours that I have taken for my first master and the second master. So they have some credit point that they're gonna give scholarship for students. So be very
Oh,
We lost him.
yeah. Hello, Mr. Zulfikar.
careful with that. I made a mistake there, the degree, but I end up with. So in conclusion, it's okay if you want to put your educational experience in the master degree when you apply for the second master, but you have to really look at the regulation of the scholarship you are applying for the scholarship. You remember that when I was in Australia for my first master, and then by the end, after I submitted my thesis for my first master degree, I applied for Fulbright, and I did mention my first master degree at Monash at the time when I applied for Fulbright because I haven't got the diploma yet, so it's okay for me not to mention my master degree at when I applied for Fulbright scholarship. But I believe Fulbright doesn't mind if you mention your master degree because I got a friend that he mentioned that he is doing his master degree in Indonesian university and then is applying for another master degree through Fulbright scholarship, and that's fine for Fulbright. So I think with Fulbright that's fine, but not with Australian award scholarship. You cannot mention that you have another master and apply for another master with Australian scholarship because they will reject you right away. I think you have to pay attention on the scholarship conditions. Please add Lilis or Pak Faisal if not very
Yes.
clear or something. Yep.
Yes, I think I agree with your point, depending on what you're trying to do. So, but as far as US program, they don't actually mind with you studying 2 or 3 or third degrees or whatever. It's okay. But the problem is with the scholarship provider. If you're trying to get a LPDP scholarship, for example, is the LPDP okay with you doing another master's degree? Or Fulbright, I think it should be okay. But like Ed, like AAS, I think, like what Dr. Zulfikar said. But so do you recommend applying for a Fulbright? No. So anyway, so it depends on what you're going. But in the U.S., as far as the program itself, they don't mind with you applying for second degrees, even something different, because you're doing something different anyway, and they want to see something. Why do you study something different? So you have to mention again. It goes back all the way to the SOP, the statement of purpose earlier. Okay, next question.
Next question is from Desi. The question is typed in the chat room. It states on the Fulbright Indonesia website that selection preference will be given to candidates who have not had extensive recent U.S. experience. Can you elaborate what this means, please? And does this mean that if a candidate did her undergraduate at a U.S. university will put at a disadvantage? Would you recommend applying to other scholarship organization instead? So it's
that's the Fulbright.
Yeah.
Better ask Fulbright people actually, but I don't know why. Maybe Pajul, is it okay? Is it true that if you study your undergrad and then you can't apply for a Fulbright? I mean, undergrad in the U.S. and you can apply for a Fulbright?
Okay, I think let me give some comment on that actually. Before, when I did my master's at Ohio University, that's something in 2004 and 2006, and suddenly Fulbright, Fulbright issue another Ph.D. scholarship. We call it like presidential scholarship or Fulbright, something like that, and they discourage those who already obtained the Fulbright award or Fulbright awardee to reapply for the PhD program using Fulbright. The reason is that because the Fulbright want to share, want to give the opportunity to wider audience. I mean, like they prefer someone who doesn't what we call visit US yet, rather than those who are having the Fulbright award already. Because, say for example, if I got the Fulbright award, Fulbright scholarship for my master's, and also I got another Fulbright scholarship for my PhD, that will delimit other people to get opportunity to study in Australia, in the US. So part of the policy is not prohibited, but they discourage, because they want Fulbright as many people as possible can visit the US, and they can show the U.S. system of education to all people. So I think
because the goal is sort of like
to give opportunity to many people as possible.
Connection through education. What the Senator Fulbright says. It's through education.
Yes,
that's
right.
So that's why they give it to as many as people.
With outside Faishal, Australian Award Indonesia, they don't mind if we have master degree with outside and then we got another PhD with outside. Even like they can give for our spouse the scholarship, but not with the US. They discourage someone already.
Yeah, I think, but the question was, I think it's about if someone's studying undergraduate, doing S1 in the US, and then try to apply for a Fulbright scholarship. I think you could still try. You could ask them. I don't really know the answer if this is really the case, But what Pak Jul said is about if you like me, I did my master's under Fulbright program, and I want to do the PhD program. There's something they discourage. They don't want to do it. But if you are a lecturer, a professor teaching at the university in Indonesia, you can still apply for Fulbright program, but there will be Fulbright dictee. So Fulbright is okay to Fulbright just doing all the administrative thing, but the money is not from Fulbright. The money is from dictee. That should be okay. So like me, if I want to do another Fulbright program for my doctoral program, it should be okay, but I have to go through the Fulbright dictee.
Next question is from, wait for a while, Elan. How about if we have excellent achievement in college but do not have enough contribution to community since too busy in pursuing career? Is it still count as strengthness?
What was the question again? That's a very important question here from Ina. I want to answer that. Anyway, what was it?
Oh, okay. Which one? Maybe Mr. Faisal can answer for question from Ina first. Her question is, PhD in US will require minimum 4 years, but Fulbright only cover 4 years, 4 3 years. How difficult it is to search for another scholarship to continue this remaining year of study?
So here's the thing. One thing you have to know before, like I said, you have to know what you're going to. You have to know what you bargain. So if you want to go to the US, you have to be ready. You need more time. At least 4 years of your life. Yeah, will be. You have to spend at least 4 years of your life studying in the US university. At least 4 years. But some of the program, most of the program, like my program, 6 years. Because they have to take a lot of courses. Like in my program, I have to take 90 credit, 90 credits before I can graduate. This is a lot. So yes, regarding the money, the finance, Fulbright only covers 3 years. You're lucky though. Indonesian people are still lucky. Fulbright covers 3 years. Other countries like Korea, like South Korea, Fulbright program for a PhD only 2 years. They cover 2 years. So what about 3 other years? 4 more years? You have to find your money on your own. But Indonesian people are also lucky because we'll have more options. The LPDP is covering 4 years. So what if they you don't finish in 4 years? Like in my case, I have to be honest. I come here for my doctoral program with LPDP scholarship, and it covers 4 years of my study. And I am on my 6 years now. So I've been on my own for 2 years so far. I could still survive. There's a lot of options you have to think about. Toward the end of your financial kind of support, for example, there's a lot of opportunity. If you go to US, usually US school, they have all kinds of money, all kinds of ways to help you. You can teach, they pay you scholarship, and they give you a monthly stipend, and they pay your. I remember when I taught at one point, and then my tuition fee was about $14,000 back then. And I teach. They cover all those. I didn't pay a dime, and they give me even insurance and everything. You can teach, and again, before you apply, remember when I say about homework, study. Look at all this financial responsibility. You have to be aware of this. We have to plan. What if I'm accepted and I go with Fulbright scholarship only 3 years? What do I do after that? What are my options? I go with LPDP. It covers 4 years, but it may take me more than 4 years, maybe 5 years. We see. What do I do for that? So there's a lot of options. Don't worry about it. What you need to worry for now is to get the scholarship for Fulbright, for example. Then worry about how to continue your life for the next 2 years. I can answer that. It can be the whole night. There's a lot of ways to do that, which I can't really say here. Yeah. But that's for now. Don't worry about that. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Faisal. Now the question is about CV. Want to ensure about CV or resume template? Do I could use free template from the website to apply for the US university, or is there any specific format that I should use? If there is any specific format, would you mind to share me the template? Okay, that's all. Maybe Miss Lilis, or are you in, Miss Lilis? Okay, maybe who wants to answer, Mr. Zulfikar or Mr. Faisal?
Which one? Sorry, the resume and CV.
Yeah, it's Miss Lilis, but I think she is
It's a,
not.
yeah, I can try. I mean,
Okay.
I don't think that's the best template you could use. You can find a lot of samples of resume templates online. You could use. You could say like resume, because resume is meant to be short. You don't want to write a lot of things there. It's short. So as long as it contains some major informations like your contact info, and then yeah, it lists sort of like the most relevant experience you have, maybe 3 or 4 of them, and then that's it. So it's basically that. I don't think there's any particular format, but again, pay attention to your program of study. I mean, the program of study that you're trying to apply to, they might have a specific format. Follow them. So otherwise, you could use anything that could really tell you, tell them who you are. So it's I don't think there's specific format for that.
Okay, now is the last question for Ellen about Ellen has like excellent achievement in college, but there is a little contribution to community. Is it still kind of strenuous to pursue a master program in the US? Maybe the question is in the chat room.
Oh, okay. So what does it mean you don't have contribution? What do you do? Think about your community. Or do you do anything like Remaja Masjid, things like that? Anything? Nothing? You should do something. You must do something. You must be involved in some kinds of community activities. Or, I mean, anyway. But at least there's something you could elaborate. And you may not everybody have all this experience, but you could elaborate on what you plan to do or what you have, what you thought. There's always ways to do it. For I think you could Google a sample statement of purpose. You can see that how people write, and then think about yourself, think about your experience, think about your experience in your undergraduate program. So there are always ways to add to your, I mean, to make it strong. But I don't know your situation, but when you try to, if you try to write statement of purposes, I don't know, maybe Bu Lilis can have a suggestion for that, whether you can contact as advisor for Education USA advisor, maybe can help with that, who to contact whenever they have a sample personal statement, whether this is now what's missing, or maybe US, I mean, Education USA might do some sort of coaching clinic or something for those who want to write personal propose, and so we can see, you know, I think.
Maybe Miss Liz want to add, or no? Okay. Oh, there is a question again from Yulia. is there any cultural differences between U.S. perspective and Indonesian in viewing whether some certain statements are considered arrogant or just quite fine?
Okay, let me try to answer that. You know, us in Indonesia, we really like to go to be around the bush. So they like it to be direct. Okay, direct. Directly say what you want. Like remember the sample I show you, I just say right what I want. I want to say PhD in this such and such. And also, we'll talk about this before. Don't give up. Don't give up too much. Give up too much personal information when you write. You could talk about yourself. You could, and it's in fact it's recommended to talk about yourself, but you have to know how to stitch one story to another and then to your goal of studying. It's not enough to just put it there, bang bang bang, put it there like, you know, a bunch of word, but it doesn't have any meaning. What is it? Because people would ask, so what? Oh, okay, you did such and such thing and the community and this great, and then so what? You know, you have to think about it. That's why I said they will know if your personal statement is not well thought of. Yeah. So again, be serious and think about what you write.
Okay. I think that's all the question from the participant. Maybe I think this webinar is really useful for us on how to write or to construct or structure our personal statement, CV, and resume, which is we can use it not only for scholarship, but also for short-term award and others. Maybe is there any advice or conclusion from the speaker? Okay.
Hi, Putri, thank you. Addressing previous question that I missed, I would like to say that if you have more questions about how to write CVs or personal statement, do not hesitate to contact Education USA. You can also contact Education USA Aceh at educationusa.org. Then we have done a series of sessions on writing essays and resume. And we would love to, like read your resume or personal statement if you have, if you need somebody to kind of provide feedback for that. And everything is full of charge. And I believe, like, Pak Faishal is also willing to provide some feedback sometimes if you, or probably ask questions, more questions about how to write. Yeah.
So in fact, this webinar is just the beginning.
Yeah.
We need more. We need more time because this is not something that people can do only by listening. That, all this our moment that we have to do it. Probably if you can start doing it and writing, maybe you bring your own writing. But one thing I want to say before we end this is it's like, there are about, I think it was 80 something people. Now we have 68 people. And one thing that I want to say is that these are a good indication that people want to do it. So don't just attend this one. Do it. Go apply to university. Before you do apply, go search the program you want first. Think about yourself, of course, first. What do you want? And then you go search. Make it happen. Make it happen. Don't say I cannot do it. Don't say I'm not smart enough. You don't have to be smart to be able to study in the US. Okay. That's it.
Thank you very much, Mr. Faishal, for a wonderful advice that we have to do it. Don't stop here and try. Okay. Is there
probably Pate Zulfikar would like to add for my end, like start early. Do not start it very close to the deadline, right?
Yep.
So that's not
What? Because you said that 1 year before. Remember, most people can start their program 1 year. Can start preparing everything, and then expect 1 year before you can actually step your foot in the US?
Okay.
Sorry, hold on. What was the questions again? Sorry, I'm a bit lost.
Closing remark, Pak.
Oh, closing remarks. Yeah, closing remarks. First, you need to prepare ahead of time for everything, for the personal statement, also for CV. Please keep update your CV regularly. Don't wait for the last minute. All right. And yeah, resume, you have to always what we call it, resume and personal statement. You have to always write and rewrite, because sometimes you have a very high achievement in
Oh, we lost. Hello, Mr. Zulfikar. I think the connection is not good.
your academic, then you cannot show it correct, man.
Okay.
Can you hear my voice?
No, we lost you.
Really?
Yeah. Maybe.
You were breaking up.
Really?
Yeah.
I've been talking from
No,
a couple
Pak,
of minutes ago.
Just in the
just
middle.
lagging in some part, Pak.
Yeah.
It was good in the beginning, but lagging in the middle.
Okay, then I say just bye-bye. Have a good luck with your application then. Okay, thank you, Bu Lilis, for inviting me, and Pak Faisal for joining us, and also the moderators. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Perfectly.
Okay, good. And then good luck to everybody. Okay, see, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Okay, thank you very much for the speakers and the participants who attend this webinar. I think that's
Thank
all.
you.
Thank you.
I gotta go start. I need to hit the sec, and
Stay safe, Pak.
Yeah.
it's
Safe flight.
12:30
Okay,
in the
have a
morning.
good rest.
Sorry for that.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you,
Yeah.
everyone.
I'll send the
Oh yes,
Yeah.
please do.
the
Would
slide.
appreciate
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye.
Thank you,
Bye.
everyone.
Assalamualaikum.
Thanks, everyone. Hope useful. You can find this useful, hopefully. Thank you. Bye.
Miss, the slide you will send for them.
Probably we have to wait until it stopped recording.
Okay.